So I was going through the garage when I found my dad's old workstation PC. And you know I just had to rebuild it. And we're not only going to rebuild it, but we're gonna benchmark it on games like Fortnite, Minecraft, and Roblox. So here are all the components, as you can see. And this is exactly how I found them, no joke. It was definitely quite a mess. But the first thing I want to start with is actually the case, so let's go look at that. So as you can see, here's the case. It's pretty basic, although it is kind of cool. If we actually look at the top here, you can see that we have 4 USB-A ports, which is really nice, a headphone and microphone jack, and then a couple other cards for your phones. Then it also has power and an optical drive, which is pretty cool. On the inside here, it's a little unique. We actually have the power supply up here, and here are the trays for both the media drive and the hard drive. And finally, there's the intake port and the outtake port for the fan. Next up, I was just going to show you the power supply. It is only a 350 watt power supply, but it will do just fine for this build. This whole thing is actually a pre-built from 2012, but it's actually pretty good. We're about to test that. Next up, I wanted to show you the drive real quick. It is actually a 2 terabyte drive, as you can see right there. Although it is a green drive, and that means it's going to be very slow, but it's meant for power saving. Also, we do have a DVD/Blu-ray/game disc. So we are going to be able to run some disc games that I have off this as well, but there's nothing special about this. Now onto the GPU. As you can see, this is nothing special. It is a Asus GT545. So it was a low profile card when it came out in 2012. It's going to be a lot worse today. But you might be surprised by how well it handles certain games we're going to run, like Minecraft and Fortnite. Also, this is the Wi-Fi card, which is pretty bad because it only supports 2.4 gigahertz, meaning our Wi-Fi is going to be really slow on games like Fortnite. Now, moving on to the motherboard, we actually have the CM6870 Pro board by Asus, and it's actually pretty good, even today. Firstly, we're going to take our RAM out and see what we have. So it looks like we have 2 4GB sticks of DDR3.
Nice.
Which honestly still works. So now we'll set this off to the side and we're going to check out the board real quick. As you guys can see, there actually are 4 available slots for RAM, which is really good. We also have 2 full-size GPU slots here in PCIe, except only one of them runs at full speed. We even have 6 data connectors here. So now let's unplug our cooler and see what type of CPU we have in here. And here we go. As you can see, there's quite a bit of thermal paste on there, dried on there. So now let's clean up the CPU and see what we have. All right, baby. So as you can see, we've cleaned this up. It's pretty much nothing in here except for some dust. We are going to clean this system. And over here, you can see the CPU. Now let's remove this boy and see what we're working with. So I've cleaned it up, and as you can see, we're actually working with an i7-3770, which was a real beast for its time. So we're actually going to see how well this thing can still run. Also, I would like to mention that the contact pads are very clean on this thing. It's honestly a very good Now we're just going to clean all of these parts and see if we can start building. And boom, this thing is much cleaner. The dust might still look bad to you guys, but that's about as good as I can get it. Also, I forgot to mention that it does have an HDMI port on the back, along with the other 2 connections, of which I only know that this one right here is DVI. I actually do not know what this is. So if you guys could tell me in the comments, I would very much appreciate that. So here it is. It's very dirty, very dusty. It's pretty gross. So we're going to actually clean this thing because, man, that's gross. Well, it's not perfect, but that's a lot cleaner than it was, especially the backside here. So, all right, so there we go. We cleaned it up quite a bit. I'm actually gonna go ahead and pull the front of this off so you guys can see this a little bit more. As you guys can see here, this is the power button right here. Seems to be working just fine. Everything here seems to be working just fine. So now we're gonna go ahead and start installing the components. All right, so in goes the media drive. It looks like it just clicks in right here, I think. So now we just need to put that cover on. I don't think we need anything else there. All right, so there we are. I'm sorry for any of you guys out there that are anal, because these are just some random screws that I had lying around that fit it. Also, I'm not gonna screw in all 4 because there's no need to, honestly. Now we're gonna throw in our hard drive real quick, which just slots in like so, and as you can see, it lines up right there. Let's screw these in. So installation is pretty simple. We're just gonna go ahead, put it in. It lines up with the notches. You don't actually have to push it in or anything. All you need to do is put this down, and then it just evenly forces it down, and you slide it underneath here, which is pretty cool. Now we're going to squirt our thermal paste right onto the CPU here. You don't need to put a lot. And then we install the cooler. So now we're just going to go ahead and throw the RAM in. I'm actually going to make sure I install them in dual channel. Also, you've probably seen quite a few computer videos where the RAM opens on both sides. On this motherboard, it only opens on this side. So you want to make sure you don't try and break the other side. Now we're going to take this motherboard and put it in our computer. Some motherboards might require you to add standoffs, but this one has them built in, which is pretty nice. So here we go, guys. As you can see, I've installed quite a few of them, but I did not install all of them. There might be a couple other screws here, but it doesn't really matter, like this right here. Now let's grab our power supply and install it. And it sits right on those little notches that it came with. Now we're actually going to do some wiring first, because all of these last things that we're going to need to install are definitely going to get in the way if we do the wiring after that. Now that these are plugged in and installed, we can just push all the rest of the cables under here. Now we're going to go ahead and plug in the cords from the front panel right into the motherboard. Now for the fan, we're going to install it right here. It is going to be exhaust. I'm not sure if I should put it as intake. Let me know in the comments actually, because I honestly do not know what I'm doing. This is my first PC I've made. Alright, now we got the motherboard completely installed with all of these connections. We also have the fan here. Got to plug that in real quick. And there we go, that's our exhaust fan. Now we're just going to throw in our GPU and our Wi-Fi card. Okay, so we just got the GPU installed. It is in there nice and snug. We also got the Wi-Fi card installed down there, as you can see up the side right here. Alright, now it's plugged in, and as you can see, the little LED is on. Let's push the button and see if it turns on. And here we go. All the fans are spinning. The GPU fan as well, and even the exhaust fan. And there we go, the light turned blue. As you can see, it did boot. Now we just gotta plug our keyboard in and get this going. Alright, so we loaded into Fortnite. As you can see, I think firstly we're gonna go ahead and do a two-dimensional powder box game. See, it loaded in really quickly, and it looks like it works just fine. We can just put our stuff in. We're gonna see if it actually lags when we put a lot of stuff on here. It looks like the lava just eats up the acid, and vice versa. Alright, now let's get spicy. Let's put... Oh my gosh. Now let's fill this up with TNT. Let's see if it'll lag if we blow it up. Maybe some nitroglycerin. Oh boy. Holy crap. Well, anyway, as you guys can see, this thing's working just fine. So now we're going to go ahead and switch over to a different game. It's going to be heavier. Alright, next up we're going to load our Mini City Tycoon. It's actually kind of fun game. So now we're loaded in, and as you guys can probably see, one of the biggest downsides of this system is actually how long it takes to load stuff. But as you can see, it's actually running just fine. Now this one is not hard to run. The next game we're going to go test is the shooting game, and let's see what FPS we get on that. Moving on to Gunfight Arena. Alright, so we've loaded in, and as you can see, nothing is loading. Oh wait, there it goes. Alright, it looks like the internet might have finally connected. It's so bad, and I completely forgot that little prong on the bottom of the Wi-Fi card is actually where the antenna goes. So yeah, I'm kind of cooked. The internet is so unstable right now. So if you're gonna make a setup like this, you definitely want to make sure you have your antenna. That's something you definitely cannot pass up. Also, the hard drives are just so insanely slow at loading, which is honestly a big pain. And as you can see, the Wi-Fi already cut out again. Alright, now we're gonna move on to Fortnite, but before we do that, we're actually gonna go ahead and test the CD drive real quick, just to see if it can run games. So as you can see, I have Diablo 2 loaded up here. However, I could not figure out how to get it to work if it's not windowed, otherwise it will crash, so it has to be in windowed mode. We can just go ahead and make a character, and as you can see, it loads up just fine. It's running as it's intended to. I was gonna try to get Sid Meier's Pirates to run, as well as this X-Men video game that I found, but the X-Men one was being finicky. I think I needed to change some settings, and sadly I could not find one of the Sid Meier's Pirates discs, so I was not able to play it. Now on to Fortnite. Alright, so we've loaded in, and I've changed the settings down a bit. As you can see, I actually set it down to a minimum 3D resolution of 60%, along with the actual resolution being only 1280 by 720p. So we're gonna see how this goes. Also, it's only 60 FPS, but let's load in. My biggest guess with this system is I'm assuming it'll actually play, but I think it will be pretty bad, obviously because of the graphics card. This GT545 is really holding the Intel back, along with the hard drive, which is just gonna take forever to load into a game. I would like you guys to bear in mind that I am using OBS Studio to record here, so I'm assuming it's not having that large of an effect on it, but it probably does have some, so performance might drop slightly. We're just about loaded, and I kid you not, it actually took 3 whole days to download Fortnite. I'm not even kidding. Minecraft took a while, Roblox took a while, but Fortnite took insanely long because the Wi-Fi is already bad, and not having an antenna really screws things up. So we're about to see how bad this Wi-Fi is. Alright, so holy internet lag. It also is definitely losing frames. I just hit space. Holy crap, it's laggy. As you guys can see up in the corner there, the internet is definitely not good. Oh my gosh, guys, look at this. Look at this. Look at these frame drops. It's not as bad as this when I did not have it recording, so this is definitely not an optimal gaming experience. The internet lag is way too bad, as if the graphics weren't bad enough. However, I can actually confirm that it is playable as long as the internet does work, just not gonna be super pretty graphics. Someone's shooting at me. Can't even see him. Bro, I can't even... Gosh dang. As I said, the lag. Oh my gosh, my internet. Wait, let's see if I can just kill him with the pickaxe. Is this getting them? Oh, it freaking... Nope. Nope, they got me. Yeah, holy crap, there's definitely no way I could do that. That is way too laggy. Way too much internet lag there as well. Alright, well that's where we're gonna leave off with Fortnite. Now, to go to the best game ever, Minecraft. So here we are on the main screen of Minecraft. As you can see, it loaded up. It did it pretty quickly as well, which is good. I would like to leave a heads up because I already recorded some and it just would not work. I could not get OBS to work. So the recording footage is gonna be a lot more choppy than the actual gameplay is. And you are gonna be able to see that in the FPS. So we've just loaded in. This is with the higher graphics settings, only on 2 chunk render distance, and as you can see, the FPS is sitting at about 130, which is not very good. Let's go ahead and boost this to 8 chunks. So as you can see, the FPS is actually still sitting at about 100, which kind of surprises me that that many more chunks doesn't drop the FPS that much. I can fly around here. This does drop the FPS quite a bit because the HDD is running here along with the only 8 gigabytes of RAM, but it is working decently. Not anything crazy. I also am sorry, as I said, for the OBS record. I even have it on 720p, even though the game is playing at 1080p. Man, this is a cool mountain cliff as well. Also, my skin's not working for some reason. Anyway, on to 30 chunk render distance. Alright, so the FPS definitely did drop. It's about 50 to 60 right now. Chunks are definitely still loading in. That's one of the things that takes quite a while on this computer. But it's definitely playable. I'm sorry for you guys because the recording is really, really bad. Also, bear in mind that there are no optimizers on, which you could very much boost FPS with multiple optimizers. So this is default Minecraft and it's totally playable. Now for the ultimate test, TNT. So for this test, we're actually going to lower the render distance back down to 10 chunks, and now let's just spawn in a good chunk of TNT. So here it is filled in. We're just gonna go ahead and ignite this. Bear in mind that the on-screen FPS is what I'm actually getting. Well, that was very smooth for me. As you can see, I was able to move around that entire time, and the FPS did recover very quickly. There wasn't really a full-blown spike there and lag. So now let's take it up to the next level. Here is the block of doom. We're just gonna go ahead and ignite this and see what happens. And here we go. Yeah, we're definitely getting like 0 FPS here. Well, this is definitely cooking the system. Hey, look, I got an achievement. Well, guys, the explosion finally did end. And although you guys can't see it, it actually is running very well. This is actually a pretty dang good system for running Minecraft. Well, that's it for this video. I think it came together really, really well. I really enjoyed this. Subscribe.